Peace and blessings, family. I know y'all ain't seen me in a while this weekend. And probably won't see a lot of me until the first of the year. After working on a whole bunch of new stuff, but I just want to come and holler at y'all for a minute. So I titled this live, the beginning and the end is really forever. So today is December the 27th, 2020. And for those who know me, know what today is. It is the day in which my mother, 24 years ago, transcended to the ancestors. And she actually left before then, but this one, her physical body decided to leave. And I wanted to make this video and just want to talk to y'all just a little bit about the ancestors, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. But what I do know is that all of it is sacred. I want to give a shout out to my homegirl who turned me on to this app called, I guess it's Clubhouse. I think it's called Clubhouse. And for the last 24 hours, I've been listening to a lot of conversations that Black people are having across really the country and in the UK. And it could be from other places too, because when you go in the room, there's a lot of people in there that are talking about different topics and issues. And the ones I've been plugged into is things around Black women, Black community, liberation, love. And I feel like the beauty of this gift that Christy gave me that I joined. And this morning I actually jumped in the conversation and just thanked the young sisters for having this conversation, because I always enjoy listening to it. I think I'm always constantly reminded that throughout history, we have always had these conversations. The beauty of social media and these apps is that we're able to have these conversations like with other people, and not just the people in your immediate environment or in your head or in closets or in your living room with people that you know. These are people across the world, and these particular groups I've been in have been Black people, and a lot of them are younger. Because I'm 48, some of them may have been in their 20s, a lot of them are educated, white people degrees, and I'm gonna call it just that. Then there's some people, I don't know if they don't have any or not, because people kind of throw out their credentials. Either way, it's all beautiful for me. So it's not to diss anybody, it's just saying, wow, it is beautiful to see Black people having these important conversations. But what I'm always constantly reminded of, and a lot of the conversations I've been in, you guys are more than welcome to chime in with me, is that they were basically talking about African Americans or the descendants of enslaved people. Some call them ADOS. And I think these conversations are so overdue. I think sometimes what we miss when we say African Americans are ADOS people is that, what does that really mean? And then we'll say, the descendants of people who were enslaved here. And I totally get that too. I think we got to take it steps deeper, because what I'm hearing is a lot of other groups saying that they don't too much care when we do that because everybody suffered. Not everybody saying that, but some people are. But I think we have to put some things. Sisters and brothers from the diaspora, from Africa in particular. I'm around a lot of Africans from the continent. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I get very sad inside of myself, because that experience of slavery, that harsh time, has taken away some things that we are constantly trying to reconnect to or get back to or to reclaim, to remember. And that is language, that is culture. And I think sometimes we try to do that when we, wear our African garb. So I wear a lot of African inspired, and I'm saying Africa as the continent, no one particular place. I constantly think about those ancestors who made that journey in the Middle Passage and what their life was particularly like, because those are the people who I never really get to hear their stories. I never get to really hear, well, what really happened to them. I mean, I'm constantly searching. Anybody know me? I research, I travel to places. I so want to know their experiences. I so want to honor their sacrifice. That's why I've always done the work that I've always done. Even from the time when I was a little girl, I grew up in the time where I was born 1971. So I felt like I was born when Black people, in my memory, were loving each other, were connected to each other, called each other sister and brother. And that's just not a cliche, but it meant something because those times were so vivid for me. I don't know about other people, but I remember that time. I'm originally from, excuse me, y'all, I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I remember Philadelphia, North Philly, particularly in the 70s when Black folks were in love with each other. That's what I'm gonna call it. And love don't mean that things are perfect, because I think sometimes we do this thing where we jump right back. We jump to everything's not perfect. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, there was a time when we really loved each other. We were rediscovering each other. The first time I ever seen that Kente Koff print was when I was a child, probably like around 7 or 8 years old, and watching Black folks reclaiming that, if you remember him, just in love with his African self and really discovering that and living it out loud, not in the closet or not as something that you mark. One of my great uncles, on his military record, he marked that he was an African in his writing in the Civil War. Because my great grandmother was born in 1817. So I think sometimes when we talk about what has happened to our ancestors, I would pray that we would remember what happened to them and what that journey was really about, and how much of that journey is reflected in who you are. Not who you would like to be, I guess, but who you are, what is in your DNA. And even when I travel to other countries, I've traveled to a lot of countries in Africa, in Latin America, even in Asia, and of course, United States. I always want to know, what was it like here for the people? I always get the history of where I am. When I went to South Africa, I was very intrigued with their history. I wanted to know, what was South Africa like, for the people there. And even though I say our people, because I realize we're all from that divine mother, we all have to come through her in order to get here. I always respect that. I never throw it aside. I never say, well, I'm here now, so it don't matter what happened here. And I always try to pay my respects to that energy of those people who were there before I was even a thought in anybody's womb. Before I was a egg rolling around in the great mothers. I always try to think of that. And I think for me, ancestors are constantly reminding me that there will always be life and we will always be life. And when I see babies or when I see a woman that's pregnant, I'm constantly reminded by the ancestors that life will continue to come and will continue to be here. No matter what the story, no matter what it is that we face, we're going to get here, because that's the gift of the Great Spirit, is that it will always exist. We will always exist. So I kind of wanted to, on this day of my mom, I don't know about you all, but in this time, this time of the holidays, as some of us will call it, I am constantly thinking about my ancestors, missing them terribly, but always reminded that they were life and they still are life, because I'm here, and we're still here. So that means that they're still here. So in death, there really isn't an ending. There is always forever. And I'm constantly reminded that we never really die. And I always say that, and people are like, what does that mean? It means what it means. You never really die. You're always constantly waiting to be born, to move forward in this great continuum, which is us, which is all of us. And so I'm reminded of that on this day as I celebrate and give thanks and homage to my mother, to her life, what she meant to me. Right now, I am working on a book, and I had to write her chapter, as much as I could. Sometimes it's hard for me to write, but I was doing a pretty good job at writing, so I'm feeling really just grateful about it. And in the midst of just the struggle of missing my mother, who was, for me, she was larger than life because I seen her do things that um, I never thought was humanly possible, for a woman alone, and knowing her birth story and how she came to be and how she lived her life, and seeing her as some of her most vulnerable states in her life, but still holding her head high and still taking care of her children and still going to work and working 3 and 4 jobs. And at the same time, fighting the system, because we always talk about the system. And it's real, I'm not doubting it. But the most real system is the system that we exist in our own mind and in our own brains, and how we interface with each other and how people interface with us, how we care for ourselves, how we, what we feed ourselves, what we allow into our circle. I'm constantly reminded of that with my mom. Like, she has been such a gift to me, even in death. She is like my guardian angel. She reminds me of the greatness that even after 100 years, when I am but someone else's memory, that I hope they will remember this great energy that is us. It doesn't leave. It doesn't die. It takes another form. Sometimes they blow through you in the wind. And they constantly remind us that we are life. So life is really death, which is really forever. And I hope that we will remember that. I hope that we will remember, even after the holidays, how great we really are. I hope we remember that human spirit that helped us to make it through days that we thought we would never see. I hope that we will remember all of the great music that we allow ourselves to live in and live on, and dance on, and smile on, and party on, that we cry on, that we give thanks on, that we release energies in our bodies to the music, that we remember how great our ancestors are, because we are our ancestors. When I was listening to the conversations in the clubhouse, I just thought to myself, wow, this is beautiful. This is beautiful that we could have conversations with each other. As I developed this Earth Mama network and putting together new shows and redefining some old ones, I am just always reminded of, we have a lot to say, and we don't have the right to tell people that what they feel, what they want to remember, what they talk about is not important. Or if it's not important to you, then you just turn out of it, tune out of it, as you will say. But I am always constantly reminded that the biggest thing that happened to my people as a result of the enslavement in the Americas is that people attempted to erase who we were. They attempted to tell us who we could be, what we could be. And I'm just in awe that through it all, we still continue to talk. Heavily on my heart is my mom, yes, because it's the day of her passing. She died 24 years ago. And she is still vivid in my memory, like if it was today. Like if it was today, 24 years ago when I was 25. It was the gifts that she was rushing to give us, rushing to remind us. And in stumbling upon her, per se, I stumbled upon all of my ancestors, learning about my grandmother and her mother and her mother and those before us. I am always reminded that the end is really just the beginning. It is really forever. And I began to know that more and more and more. Every time I spend time with my great nieces and nephews and I watch them, I think to myself, wow, the ancestors cleared the way so greatly that I could still see them in the babies, the ones who just come to this side, who came through that sacred portal. I can still see them telling me to push on, to move on, to do not forget who we are. Not who people want us to be, not who people think we are, but who we really are. Not a made-up concept. We're not the people on reality TV show acting a damn fool, or we're not fighting all the time. That is not really who we are. Those are all just circumstances. Those are what some people need to do to pay their rent, I guess. I'm always reminded of that sacred part of the human spirit that so often get drowned out because there isn't a lot of roadmap, and we're constantly fighting for a place in the sun. We're constantly fighting to be valued. We're constantly fighting to matter, when really you just need to matter to yourself. It don't even matter what other people think. It never did, no matter what people told us. I stumbled upon a song called Beirut. It's the name of the song that I'm playing right now. And God, I was doing libation in my yard and giving thanks to my ancestors and the nature and all of the sacred beings, that seen and unseen. And this song came across my music list. And as I began to do the libations, the sound of this song towards the end gets louder and louder and louder. But it was like such a vibration of rising up. And I felt like it was my ancestors telling me that, girl, we ain't really went nowhere. It's just that our time for the physical was just up. But who we are in spirit is still here. And no one can take that away from you. The imprint that we leave on each other, the imprint that we leave on the planet, it don't matter if it's COVID, it don't matter if it's the crack era, it don't matter if it's redlining, it don't matter if we're in the height of the Civil War, it don't matter if we're on a plantation and people are attempting to strip everything from you, your tongue, your culture, everything that they can possibly try to erase out of you. The ancestors are like, we still here. You can never really kill us in who we are. For the great energy, that great spirit will always be here. Harriet Tubman will always be here. All of those great freedom fighters and people who fought the best way they knew how, whether that was preparing a meal for someone or speaking to someone and saying hello, or just doing it with their eyes. I see it. All of that is the human spirit in which Black folks have always survived. I am constantly a work in progress. As I get older, I can feel the shifts. And I never had a chance to ask certain elders who are now ancestors, did they feel the shift? Because I didn't even know what the shift was, honestly. But there is something about the sun hitting your face at a certain time in your life where it could be cold outside, but there is something in that sun beam, that ray that touches your body, that you know that you are right, and you are in the right place at the right time, in the right moment. That all you have to do is remember who you are. All you have to do is stand in your power. Stand in your power. And don't let nobody attempt to tell you who you are and whose you are. It's not possible. I'm doing this series called The Soul of Music. It really should be the soul of Black people who creates music. But as I listen to the stories, whether it's funk or bebop or jazz or doo-wop or hip-hop or whatever we want to call it, alternative, rock, whatever it is, something about who we are, when it comes through us, it comes through us. And we leave such gifts. You could discover, as I watched a lot of people discover who Ma Rainey was. I've known about who she was since the 8th grade when I read the book Brown Sugar, which everybody should get Brown Sugar. I'm constantly reminded that through it all, we've always had ways of being creative under harsh conditions. Always watching us reclaim who we are over and over and over again. You know, no matter what we have on our hair, what we put on our face, how we adorn ourselves with clothes we wear, with beads we have on, whatever, we are always going to be who we are. So on this day, as I remember that the beginning is just the end, which is forever, because it starts again like a cycle. I'm so grateful. And when I was pouring that libations this morning, just now, as I was lighting my cigar to offer that tobacco, as I was burning my sage and burning my copal and pouring libations and honoring my mom and all of the ancestors, the seen and unseen, the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the creepy crawlies, all of them, the trees, the breeze, the planet, the whole, everything. I'm constantly reminded that I am just a continuum. I am just a continuum. So in this time, I hope that we would think about our purpose as we move into this next year on this calendar. That we remember who we really are. As we grow a little older, I hope we grow a little wiser. And I hope for all of us, and I'm included in that hope, that we will figure out some things that our ancestors knew and couldn't apply like they wanted to. Or some things they may not have known, but known if they had knew it, that they would have probably did something different or probably did it the same. Man, I don't know about y'all. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for water, for blue skies, for cloudy skies. I am so grateful for all the energies that move through me, that move around me, that lift me up, that lay me down and bring me back up to an upright position. I am so grateful for the horns that play, for the humming in the air, for babies' laughter, for the joy, for our ancestors who said band, because there are descendants I'm never going to know who will know my name, who will know what I stood for is what they stand for. And as long as you have breath in your body, you got to keep going. But you have to do some things a little different because now you know something a little different, or you're remembering who we are and how great we are. So we're going to do something different because you weren't who you were 5 minutes ago, but you're everything you were forever. Man, we are just these sacred beings on the journey. And when we're ready, all things will happen like they're supposed to happen. There's really absolutely nothing we can do about it, but just be. Just be. And in gratitude and in love. So I'm grateful for all of this social media, for Facebook, for YouTube, for Clubhouse, for conversations, for us figuring out how to connect to each other Okay, I'm grateful for tears and for anger and for joy and for memory and for divine memory. I'm grateful that my ancestors have kept leaving these blueprints that I kept stumbling. At least I thought I was stumbling, but really it was in divine order and I couldn't really do nothing about it because it was a part of my journey. I would hope that we would all remember the divineness that is us, that our ancestors are within us, and our descendants are within us. And as we leave 1,000,000 imprints, think about what those imprints will be. And I pray that my imprints will be joy, would be love, will be sacred, to remember that I was a part of this sacred world. I'm so grateful. I am so, so, so grateful. And I pray that we would remember and we will believe in each other. One of my favorite Sweet Honey in the Rock songs is I Remember and I Believe. I remember my ancestors, the ancient ones, the ones who started civilization, the ones who journeyed in that middle passage and survived. I pray that we never forget them. I pray that 100 years from now, someone will be pouring the libations for us. I don't know how my people survive slavery. I do remember, that's why I believe. All right, family. That's all I really wanted to say. As the sun get ready to bid us adieu. I love that. I heard someone say that once and it just kind of stuck with me. I bid you adieu. The song is by a guy named Alan, I think it's Bashung, and it's called Immortal. And the song talks about to remember that we're all mortals. No matter how we stumble on the planet, no matter how great we are, we're still immortal. When you die, you're still living again. That means it's your time to come back and try it again. And this experience called life. And as we travel on those astral planes, then we remember that. And remember that we have all that we need within us. We do. And that the energy of prayer, the energy of sacrifice, the energy of blessings, we all possess. Immortal, you are immortal. Right on, family. Ashe, dear sister. Ashe. So, family, I hope you're having a great day on this Kuji Chakalia Kwanzaa Day. Self-determination. You've always had that. And with that, family, peace and blessings.